It's a well-known problem that people struggle with keeping up with their New Year's resolution. A quick Googling around the topic shows that 80% of people fail or lose their New Year's resolution by mid-February. 80% by mid-February. That's crazy. Each year, people get excited and set New Year's resolution. They have the right intention to improve their lives, yet somehow they still fail to maintain their resolutions. Why is that? Well, according to the book 12-Week Year, it really boils down to two main reasons: lack of vision and lack of system. In this video, I will share with you the principles and systems that I've learned from the 12-Week Year book that has helped me successfully complete multiple different projects in 2020, of which one of them requires me to make a blog post every day for 365 days, which you can find out more information in the link in the description below. 2021 is coming up, and I hope that this video is timely and gives you the right knowledge and tools you need to make 2021 a strong and productive year. If you're new here, my name is Ryan. I'm a first-year PhD student based in London, and on this channel, we explore and share actionable insights on different topics in AI research, entrepreneurship, and life design, encouraging us to take more actions and live a happier and more intentional life. If these topics interest you, consider subscribing. This video is split into two main sections. Firstly, I will cover the 8 elements to high performance, which are grouped into 3 principles and 5 execution disciplines. Secondly, I will then move on to the practical application of the 5 execution disciplines, which together forms the whole practical elements of the 12-week system. Before we move on, a very important point that I would like to make is that the 12-week system is not just the 5 execution disciplines. It's the combination of both the 3 principles and the 5 execution disciplines. The 12-week system tackles both how you think through the principles and the actions that you take through the 5 execution disciplines. It's important to remember this because the 3 principles forms the importance of high performance, and without it, the execution disciplines won't work. Here are the 8 elements to high performance. We will start with the 3 principles. The first principle is accountability. This means ultimate ownership. Being accountable here means willing to 100% own your actions and results. Essentially, you are responsible for the end results. And so if something goes wrong, it is no one's fault but your own. The second principle is commitment. Now, there are 2 types of commitments. There is a commitment that you make to others, and there's a commitment that you make to yourself. Commitments to yourself builds character, esteem, and success, whereas commitments to others build strong relationships. The difference between commitment and accountability is that commitment is accountability projected into the future. What this means is that having a very strong commitment power means you have a strong ownership of both your future actions and future results, and this is fundamental. The third principle is greatness in the moment. This principle basically states that greatness doesn't happen when results are achieved. Greatness is achieved the moment you have decided to commit to the necessary actions to become great. What this principle is trying to say is that result isn't what makes someone great. In fact, you become great long before the results. You become great in the moment where you decided to commit, and therefore result is simply just a confirmation of greatness. These 3 principles form the foundation to high performance. But as we all know, knowing and thinking about something is one thing, taking action is another. The next 5 elements are known as execution disciplines, and they are more action focused. The first execution discipline is the vision. Here you need to establish a strong, vivid vision to stay focused. What is your why? The more you know what you want to achieve and why, the more focused, efficient, and motivated you are. Self-awareness is the key here. The second execution discipline is planning. Planning is extremely important because an effective plan allows you to focus on high ROI projects and actions that moves you closer towards your vision. The third execution discipline is process control. Essentially, what process control is a set of tools and events that ensures that your daily actions is aligned with your most critical actions. The fourth execution discipline is measurement. Measurement is extremely important. It is the key to driving progress. It allows you to evaluate your current workflow and whether you're on track or not. An effective measurement has both lead and lag indicators, which I will talk more about in later. The last and final execution discipline is time use. Essentially, what this execution discipline is trying to say is that if you don't have control over your time, you don't have control over your results. How you use your time daily governs your future results. And so these are the 5 execution disciplines. Now I want to make a point here that these 5 execution disciplines are highly interconnected. What this means is that your execution power is only as strong as your weakest element. If you don't have a vision, none of the other execution discipline matters. If you have vision but no planning, then you just have a pipe dream. If you have vision and planning but no process control, then you're going to experience a lot of inconsistent performance because you're not sure whether you're focusing on critical actions on a day-to-day basis. If you don't have measurement, you don't know whether you're on the right track or not. You don't know whether your plan is actually working or if you should change it. And lastly, if you have a weak control over your time, you're not going to be able to get things done. The system has 2 phases, planning phase and action phase. Now the planning phase includes the vision and planning, whereas the action phase includes the process control, measurement, and time use. Let's get to it. In the planning phase, you're trying to go from vision to 12-week projects, essentially abstract to SMART goals. SMART goals are specific, measurable, and time-bound. Let's start with the most abstract, the long-term vision. With the long-term vision, you want to evaluate the different areas in your life and ask yourself what is the most important thing to you in those areas. The 12-week yearbook has listed 7 common areas of life, which are personal, business, spiritual, spouse/key relationships, family, community, and physical. Once you have done that, next we move on to midterm goals. Here you want to describe in as much detail as you can what a great personal and professional life looks like to you 3 years from today. Once you have done that, now it's time to set the 12-week projects. Now the 12-week projects has 3 steps. First, establish 2 to 3 goals that you want to achieve that you believe will move you closer towards your vision. Now here the goal has to be specific and measurable, it has to be positive, it has to be time bound, and it has to be a realistic stretch. Once you have established the goals, the second step is to define tactics for each goal. Tactics here means critical actions. Now the guideline here for the tactics are each tactic should start with a verb. The tactic must be daily and weekly high value tasks. Every tactic must be time bound, and some tactics are recurring and some tactics are one-off. The third and final step is that for each goal you need to establish both the lead and lag indicators. The lead indicators here are things that happen in the early process that gives you a proxy of future results. The lag indicators here are simply the end results. For example, your lag indicators could be to lose 10 pounds of weight, and your lead indicators could be how many times did you go to the gym on a weekly basis. And that concludes the planning phase, which include both the vision and planning execution disciplines. We will now move on to the action phase, the process control, which is a 3-step weekly routine. Step 1, score your week, which links to the measurement execution discipline. Here there are 2 measurements, results, lag indicators, and execution, lead indicators. With the results, you want to outline what have you accomplished that week. With the execution, you want to fill up your weekly scorecard, which essentially gives you your execution score for the week. Your execution task is simply the number of tactics you've completed divided by the total number of tactics that week. As a rule of thumb, a minimum of 85% execution score will mean that you're more likely to hit your goals. The second step of the weekly routine is weekly planning. During this weekly planning is where you score the last week and plan out the weekly tactics that you need to do this week. The weekly actions here sets your focus for the week, and bear in mind here that the weekly tactics here are not a glorified to-do list. It's simply a derivative of the critical actions that you have set yourself during the planning phase for the 12-week projects. The third and final step of the weekly routine is holding and attending the weekly accountability meetings, also known as WAMs. Now WAMs are usually held first thing in the morning on Monday for 30 minutes. Now usually the agenda for WAMs consists of 3 different parts. First is individual reporting. Here you will share the results so far that you've accomplished, your weekly execution score, what's your intention for this coming week, and any feedbacks from the group. The second thing on the WAMs agenda is for the group to share different successful techniques on what has worked to help other members that are struggling. The last part of the WAMs agenda is encouragement. So far in planning and action phase, we have covered vision, planning, process control, and measurements. We are now left with time use. Here we will introduce time blocking, and there are essentially 3 types of time blocks that allows you to gain more control over time. You should aim to set these time blocks during your weekly planning. The first type of time block is buffer block. Buffer blocks are designed for low-level activity, usually lasts between 30 minutes to an hour. An example of a low-level activity is responding to multiple different emails. The second type of time block is strategic block. Strategic block is where you're actually getting things done. This is where you focus on doing deep work and usually lasts for around 3 hours. You should aim to set this early in the week so that if you miss one by chance, you can have time to reschedule this. And last but not least, we have the breakout block. The breakout blocks are designed to prevent burnout and to create more free time for you, and it usually lasts for around 3 hours once per week. And that's it for today's video. I hope you find this useful. If you want to dive deeper into the details, definitely check out the book. It's really good. I'm currently in the process of adjusting my system to better juggle my time between PhD and other areas of my life, and so I'll probably make a video about that in the future, sharing my process and learnings. In the meantime, feel free to check out other videos on my channel covering AI research and life design. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys around next time.